The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, it's Perch. I'm definitely in the one video a day zone right now. I record a lot of videos, but now I'm in the time where I'm recording a video after I know that things have flipped to one video a day. And I got a bunch of really nice emails. So thank you very much to all the people who wrote in saying, hey, I don't like you ending the channel. What are you doing? I am winding it down a little bit. And I do think we're, as I said before, we're headed to the end, but it will be a long time. So sorry, people who are anxiously awaiting the end or pretending to. There's still a lot of videos in the vault, so to speak. There's a lot of audio tracks. Looking at I've got 44 videos that haven't been processed yet. So this will be a while. Like if you just do the math, that's a month and a half. But anyway, it'll be a while. So don't worry. And I am going to do a bunch of interviews before we're all done. I am going to do a live stream or two before we're done. So there'll be more. Don't worry. That's just, we'll figure it all out. And plus, yes, I absolutely do promise that right before the very, very end, absolutely, what's the expression? Spilling the tea. I'm just going to fucking say everything and then call it a day. So definitely it's going to come out. I'm sure there will be a face reveal in there as well. I'm being honest. So what are we talking about tonight? Well, there's a spoiler for when I'm recording this video. So, a lot of the problems in the comic industry, I feel don't get addressed on a lot of these channels. There's plenty of coverage to, that this artist sucks, or Bendis fucked something up again, or, oh my God, this is woke, or why is Tom King still employed? I mean, these are common topics. But there's some other topics that kind of permeate comics that I don't hear a lot about, but I think are equally bad problems. They're probably not as sexy, but I was asked, hey, why don't you do a video on the things that nobody talks about that are still problems? And so I'm going to do that. So one of the constant things, and I'm always baffled by why this keeps happening, and it's the obsession of people in comics, meaning like the publishers, the editors, to consistently basically get enamored with the idea of hiring a celebrity writer versus just trusting one of the people who's in their stable who's been doing writing for years. And we've seen this from Marvel, we've seen this from DC. The baffling part is if you do the sales analysis, if you actually run the numbers, it never works out. Like never. Like I'm still searching for the exception that proves the rule. I haven't found it. Once upon a time, and all like four of you, and please identify yourself in the comments, because I don't know. I'm guessing none of you remember this. There was this title that was an X-Men book, and it was like Hunger for Heroes, and it had a really cool Arthur Adams cover. And I think there was a Barry Windsor Smith part of the book. It had a bunch of different writers and artists in this one story. And Stephen King was one of the writers. Now, this was Stephen King, not, the Stephen King on Twitter, but this is when Stephen King as a writer was probably, a pretty big deal. He was easily one of the biggest names in all of books. Still a big name in books, but, times have changed. Anyway, I was under the impression that this title actually sold well because it had a big celebrity name, Stephen King. That's what they built it on. And it had a bunch of, pretty A-list art teams on it. And then I got the numbers, the sales numbers from back in the 70s and 80s, the newsstand. That title sold like shit. It didn't sell well at all. So please, did you remember Hunger for Heroes? This was a book. It had like the part that you remember is like the X-Men were starving. Kitty Pryde was all emancipated. It was weird. Anyway, this comic didn't sell well. My point here is that comics continuously go for celebrity writers that never pay off. And yet they keep going back to that well over and over and over. And the question is, why? In addition, and I'm telling you this as a guy who runs the numbers, not only does it not sell well, but it tends to have a detrimental effect on the ongoing title itself. So what I mean is every time they bring in a celebrity writer to do either an arc or a one-shot, you see the sales numbers go down after the fact, down from where the numbers were before the celebrity writer came onto the scene. Meaning not only does the celebrity writer not work well, but it actually hurts the title overall. And you can see this over and over again. When J.J. Abrams, or rather his son, wrote the Spider-Man comic, not only, and this was something that C.B. Cebulski was kind of pondering would sell 1 million copies. It didn't. It actually sold terribly, particularly if you look at the entire series. The first issue spiked pretty decent. I think Sarah Pichelli was on the art, and and J.J. Abrams and son were on the writing duties. And the first issue had a bunch of variants, and it sold well. And every other series had the drop from issue 1 to issue 2 was a severe drop, and it sold poorly. It sold under the regular Spider-Man title, and it was late and a million other problems. But the actual Spider-Man title itself, Amazing Spider-Man, suffered after this book came out. Now, maybe this is all anecdotal, but the same thing was true with Kevin Smith when he did some comics. You can go down the line of people they brought in from the outside, and it never works. So the question is, why does comics keep doing this? And more importantly, you don't see a lot of videos on this topic, but if you're a retailer, and I have talked about this with many other retailers at Comics Pro and other events, like, we all know this fails. This strategy 100% of the time fails, to the point that the retailers are ensuring it fails by under ordering. Like nobody goes for it anymore. The question mark is, why do the publishers go for it? The theory we have, as retailers, because this has been talked about a lot, is that the editors just really want to work with the celebrity because they think it will look good on their resume when they go find a job somewhere else. Like, that's why they're doing it, because there is no sales justification at all for making this work. And like, at this point, I've got a private bet. By the way, this will never happen, but I've got a private bet with somebody. It's like, if J.K. Rowling, and I know if you go on Twitter, she's a transphobe and 100 other things they call her, but guess what? J.K. Rowling as a name in books still has a lot of credibility and sells well, as she does. They're going to do this new Harry Potter series. Look, for all the fuss, and maybe this is the biggest argument against the PC correct Twitter cancel culture kind of stuff. Look, you could bitch as much as you want. Guess what? Rowling continues to sell books at a huge rate. Harry Potter merchandise is good. Lego continues to renew their franchise. Like that. If you go on Twitter, you'd assume that she is toxic and that all the brands are walking away from her. They're not. She's huge. She continues to sell as strong or stronger. It's one of the few kind of licensable properties, brand properties, that continues to hold. That Harry Potter game sold amazingly well. Sorry, it just did. And it transcends the culture war into people just like that shit. And they like her name on it. Now, all that said, if Marvel or DC did a comic book where J.K. Rowling was a guest writer, I'm guessing it would still sell like shit. By the way, you could think I'm crazy and disagree. I just said her name is huge and it sells books. I don't think it crosses over to comics. If you had J.K. Rowling is going to write a 4-issue arc of Doctor Strange, because, the magic thing is going to, whatever. I don't think it sells. I think they would get a PR buzz. They would get some hype out of it. And I think it would sell like garbage. Which brings me to the second thing, and probably this video only has room for 2 things. So there will be more. Sorry, it's a threat, not a promise. The other thing is, comic book PR does not mean shit. That's my statement. So basically, When comic books go and they get the the headline story on CNN or whatever, it doesn't matter. I think if you look at the long game, and this is the thing that a lot of people avoid, and quite frankly, not just in comics, in anything, you need to look at the long game. It's very easy to do a stunt. For example, a bunch of people can, run up the stock of AMC and create a temporary boost to the stock. But if you look at the long game, it doesn't terribly matter. That's why, and please, we've all argued about it, but that's why the InBev Bud Light controversy, I look at it from the long game perspective, meaning if you're investing in stocks anyway, chances are investing in the 3 to 5 year horizon if you're a stock investor. You can certainly do day trading and all the rest, but 3 to 5 years. My suspicion is, despite everything you're seeing right now about Bud Light, InBev, and everything else, I'm betting that if you take the 3 to 5 year view, I'm betting this will not have a big, deep impact. I may be wrong, and by the way, at least give me this credit, people in the comments, because I've lived by my word. If I'm wrong, I will certainly admit it. I mean, the channel will be dead by then, so I guess I won't. But anyway, if the channel is still going, I would definitely admit it. But generally, the long game looks different from the short game. Whether you agree with me or not, that's fine. Everybody's welcome to their own opinion, and it's cool. Hopefully, everyone agrees that there's a big difference between looking at things in a 2-week horizon versus a 3-year horizon. And a 3 to 5 year horizon, a lot of things tend to even out. Take Target, for example. Target's getting beat up. People still like to go to fucking Target and buy their shit. And so if you look at it from a 5-year horizon window, I'm guessing a lot of this stuff will vanish. Again, maybe not. Maybe not. I will admit it. Okay. Indiana Jones, by the way, from the box office numbers, is underperforming where I thought it would be. I still don't believe that's because of Fleabag or any of the woke kind of stuff that people are accusing it of. I just think that the movie didn't hit the nostalgic notes that it promised in the right way. And plus, he's old. He's not Indiana Jones anymore, but whatever. Look, my point in all this is, if you look at the long term, PR and press, so this will go against the narrative. So this is always where the videos go. I get people on board, and I get them hard disagreeing with me, and I get them agreeing with me again. I'm guessing a lot of you will resonate with this. Tom Taylor went on CNN to talk about John Kent being gay. And there was a big headline story about how important this is going to be and everything else, and it got a bunch of publicity for John Kent. And Tom Taylor was very proud of this, and so was DC, and a lot of people were like, look at how well this thing is doing. Well, guess what? The John Kent Superman title was canceled. They're doing a limited series now, but here's the thing. If the title was selling gangbusters like, say, Batman or Spider-Man, that title would still be going. Gay or straight or whatever else, it would still be going because it was selling. That's how the finances work. So if you look at, say, and I've certainly said that I think Spider-Man is absolutely insane writing right now, and what they're doing with Mary Jane is ridiculous. And I think at some point the collective audience is going to go, you know what, fuck it, we're out. I think that's in Spider-Man's future, but it hasn't hit yet. You will not hear me say that Spider-Man is selling like shit, because it isn't. Spider-Man is still doing well. So is Batman. I also think Batman's overexposed, but is selling well. But guess what? John Kent Superman, despite, whatever Tom Taylor puts in Twitter, is not selling well. It's underperforming. It is not breaking the bank. It is very easy to go to Amazon when the trade paperback is released and go, look, it's like the number 3 trade paperback. Yeah, checking. This is, again, the 2-week versus 3-year syndrome. Okay, in the first week to 2 weeks of a trade paperback being released for a new character, things are going to sell well. Yeah, let me check back in 6 months. Oh, it turns out in 6 months, Watchmen and Primer are still outselling you. Now, you can easily say, well, Watchmen is a classic, and it's unfair to pit me against Watchmen, and you shouldn't pit me against the best of all time and things that sell well. Okay, that's fine. But Primer? And no offense, I like Primer. My kids like Primer. I think Primer is an incredibly smart book by DC, and I love it. It's great. I think it's a really good title. Clearly a smart move. But, you'd be insane to say Primer is at the same level of, say, V for Vendetta or Watchmen or Secret Wars. Like those are decades old classics that continue to print money. Primer is great and prints money, but you should understand that if Primer is outselling John Kent Superman, which it is, it means the lesson there is all the promotion and the press and the PR you get from CNN or IGN or wherever you go does not mean dick all to sales, because it doesn't. And this is one of those areas where the comic industry continues to fool itself by believing that, hey, I got on CNN, this is a win. It's only a win if it translates to money. And if it doesn't, nobody gives a shit. That is where that book is at. So I do two big things. We'll continue on this in the future. Number one, the use of celebrity writers. It is a silly game that the publishers continue to fool themselves into thinking that's going to matter, and it never does. And the second is PR, promotion, all that kind of stuff. The way they're currently doing it doesn't matter. I hate to say this because this is just red meat to stir up controversy, but I'll do it anyway. Why not? Look, right now, if you have a new comic book, a brand new property, and one of two things, you have two choices to make. Fuck, people are going to disagree with this hard, and I understand, but fine. Your choice is to get a article on CNN for your new comic book, or you get Zach from Diversity in Comics to do a 10-minute, very, very positive, glowing review of your comic. Okay? Those are your two choices. CNN article or a single video on his channel. I'm willing to bet if you take the numbers, financially, it's going to work out better for you on Zach's YouTube channel. I'm a math guy. I'm a statistician guy. Yeah, I think there's plenty of proof that suggests that that's true. I mean, I'm not even going to my channel. My channel has, no subscribers compared to those other channels. I think I'm not bold enough to say it, but I think if you did an interview and promotion on my channel, I think your sales would be equivalent or maybe better than a CNN article. The message I'm giving is to not pat myself on the back or not hype some other guy's channel. My message is the way promotion is currently being handled. Please, if you're in comics, take what I'm about to say as the thing to take away. The way you're doing promotions and marketing is wrong. It's not working. And you're better off changing your approach. You don't need to go on somebody's YouTube channel, but my message here is going on CNN and doing that kind of stuff doesn't mean dick all. You should stop doing that because it's not working. I mean, it's fine, but you need to do something else. And that something else is a very different marketing approach. All right. So again, opinion of one, you're welcome to disagree. I will say the math is definitely on my side on both of these two. Definitely. Now, you may not like it, and you may say it's not worth it, or you may say, it still is valuable to work with a celebrity writer, fine, or I will never go on that guy's channel because I hate him, fine. But the math vets out what I'm saying. So if you're a comic writer, or you're a creator, or you're doing a Kickstarter, or whatever else, I'm not telling you what to do. If you want to work with a celebrity, go for it. If you want to get that interview on CNN because it's important for you, go for it. That's all fair. Do what you got to do. But take away from this the lesson that is the math and the sales paint a very compelling, consistent picture. Make sure you're paying attention to that part. Don't get distracted by me saying, hey, you should go on this YouTube channel, this guy you don't like. Don't get distracted by that. Understand that your approach, your business approach, needs adjustment. That's the takeaway. For everybody else, I don't know. I'm saying that woke doesn't exist. There you go. You can be pissed off at that. I give a shit. Anyway, Hooray! Thanks for listening.